All right, guys, we're going to finish the chapter called In Like a Lion. It's a long one. This is the last part of it. I'm on page 191. The big game is just about to start. I'm in the middle of the page. The ref threw up the opening jump ball. Our big guy, Roger, tipped it back toward our point guard, but Rowdy was quicker. He intercepted the pass and raced toward his basket. I ran right behind him. I knew that he wanted to dunk it. I knew that he wanted to send a message to us. I knew he wanted to humiliate us on the opening play. For a second, I wondered if I should just intentionally foul him and prevent him from dunking. He'd get 2 free throws, but those wouldn't be nearly as exciting as a dunk. But no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't foul him. That would be like giving up. So I just sped up and got ready to jump with Rowdy. I knew he'd fly into the air about 5 feet from the hoop. I knew he'd jump about 2 feet higher than I could, so I needed to jump quicker. And Rowdy rose into the air, and I rose with him. And then I rose above him. Yep, if I believed in magic, in ghosts, then I think maybe I was rising on the shoulders of my dead grandmother and Eugene, my dad's best friend. Or maybe I was rising on my mother and father's hopes for me. I don't know what happened, but for once, and for the only time in my life, I jumped higher than Rowdy. I rose above him as he tried to dunk it. I took the ball right out of his hands. Yep, we were like 10 feet off the ground, and I was still able to reach out and steal the ball from Rowdy. Even in midair, I could see the absolute shock on Rowdy's face. He couldn't believe I was flying with him. He thought he was the only Indian Superman. I came down with the ball, spun, and dribbled back toward our hoop. Rowdy, screaming with rage, was close behind me. Our crowd was insanely loud. They couldn't believe what I'd just done. I mean, sure, that kind of thing happens in the NBA and in college and in big high schools, but nobody jumped like that in a small school basketball gym. Nobody blocked a shot like that. Nobody took a ball out of a guy's hands as he was just about to dunk. But I wasn't done, not by a long shot. I wanted to score. I'd taken the ball from Rowdy, and now I wanted to score in his face. I wanted to absolutely demoralize him. I raced for our hoop. Rowdy was screaming behind me. My teammates told me later that I was grinning like an idiot as I flew down the court. I didn't know that. I just knew I wanted to hit a jumper in Rowdy's face. Well, I wanted to dunk on him, and I figured with the crazy adrenaline coursing through my body, I might be able to jump over the rim again. But I think part of me knew that I'd never jump like that again. I only had that one epic jump in me. I wasn't a dunker. I was a shooter. So I screeched to a stop at the 3-point line and head faked, and Rowdy completely fell for it. He jumped high over me, wanting to block my shot, but I just waited for the sky to clear. As Rowdy hovered above me as he floated away, he looked at me. I looked at him. He knew he'd blown it. He knew he'd fallen for my little head fake. He knew he could do nothing to stop my jumper. He was sad, man. Way sad. So guess what I did? I stuck my tongue out at him, like I was Michael Jordan. I mocked him. And then I took my 3-pointer and buried it to swish that sucker. And the gym exploded. People wept. Really. My dad hugged the white guy next to him, didn't even know him, but hugged and kissed him like they were brothers, you know? My mom fainted. Really. She just leaned over a bit, bumped against the white woman next to her, and was gone. She woke up 5 seconds later. People were on their feet. They were high-fiving and hugging and dancing and singing. The school band played a song. Well, the band members were all confused and excited. So they played a song, sure, but each member of the band played a different song. My coach was jumping up and down and spinning in circles. My teammates were screaming my name. Yep, all of that fuss, and the score was only 3-0. But trust me, the game was over. It only took like 10 seconds to happen, but the game was already over. Really. It can happen that way. One play can determine the course of a game. One play can change your momentum forever. We beat Welpinit by 40 points. absolutely destroyed them. That three-pointer was the only shot I took that night, the only shot I made. Yep, I only scored 3 points, my lowest point total of the season. But Rowdy only scored 4 points. I stopped him. I held him to 4 points, only 2 baskets. He scored on a layup in the first quarter when I tripped over my teammate's foot and fell. And he scored in the fourth quarter, with only 5 seconds left in the game, when he stole the ball from me and raced down for a layup. But I didn't even chase him down because we were ahead by 42 points. The buzzer sounded, the game was over. We had killed the Redskins. Yep, we had humiliated them. We were dancing around the gym, laughing and screaming and chanting. My teammates mobbed me. They lifted me up on their shoulders and carried me around the gym. I looked for my mom, but she'd fainted again, so they'd taken her outside to get some fresh air. I looked for my dad. I thought he'd be cheering, but he wasn't. He wasn't even looking at me. He was all quiet-faced as he looked at something else. So I looked at what he was looking at. It was the Welpinit Redskins, lined up at their end of the court as they watched us celebrate our victory. I whooped. We had defeated the enemy. We had defeated the champions. We were David who'd thrown a stone into the brain of Goliath. And then I realized something. I realized that my team, the Reardon Indians, was Goliath. I mean, geez, all of the seniors on our team were going to college. All of the guys on our team had their own cars. All of the guys on our team had iPods and cell phones and PSPs and 3 pairs of jeans and 10 shirts and mothers and fathers who went to church and had good jobs. Okay, so maybe my white teammates had problems, serious problems, but none of their problems was life-threatening. But I looked over at the Welpinit Redskins, at Rowdy. I knew that 2 or 3 of those Indians might not have eaten breakfast that morning. No food in the house. I knew that 7 or 8 of those Indians lived with drunken mothers and fathers. I knew that one of those Indians had a father who dealt crack and meth. I knew 2 of those Indians had fathers in prison. I knew that none of them was going to college. Not one of them. And I knew that Rowdy's father was probably going to beat the crap out of him for losing this game. I suddenly wanted to apologize to Rowdy, to all of the other Spokanes. I was suddenly ashamed that I'd wanted so badly to take revenge on them. I was suddenly ashamed of my anger, my rage, and my pain. I jumped off my white teammate's shoulders and dashed into the locker room. I ran into the bathroom, into a toilet stall, and threw up. And then I wept like a baby. Coach and my teammates thought I was crying tears of happiness. But I wasn't. I was crying tears of shame. I was crying because I had broken my best friend's heart. But God has a way of making things even out, I guess. Welpinit never recovered from their loss to us. They only won a couple more games the rest of the season and didn't qualify for the playoffs. However, we didn't lose another game in the regular season and were ranked number 1 in the state as we headed into the playoffs. We played Elmira Cooley Heartline, this tiny farm town team, and they beat us when this kid named Keith hit a crazy half-court shot at the buzzer. It was a big upset. We all cried in the locker room for hours. Coach cried, too. I guess that's the only time that men and boys get to cry and not get punched in the face. That should give you a lot to think about.